CK, are we all good? All right, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. Today, we end the spring session of the General Assembly in stunning failure by the supermajority Democrats who control our legislature. The Democrats in the General Assembly have failed to pass a balanced budget. They have failed to pass reforms to protect our property taxpayers. They have failed to pass reforms on our pension system. They have failed to pass reforms to grow our economy and create more high-paying jobs. They have failed to pass reforms on our political system through term limits. Stunning failure again. Speaker Madigan's Democrats have controlled our General Assembly for more than 30 years. Speaker Madigan's Democrats have controlled spending in our state government for more than 30 years. Under the Democrats' control, we have the highest deficits, the highest debt, the highest unfunded pensions of any state in America. Under Speaker Madigan's Democrats, we have the highest unemployment rate of any state in America. Under Speaker Madigan's Democrats, we have the highest property taxes of any state in America. Under Democratic control, we lead the nation in people leaving the great state of Illinois. We have to change direction. We must fundamentally reform our government so it works for the people again. And we have got to stop spending money that we don't have. We have got to stop the deficit spending. Now. We have to stop it now. The budget that the Democrats passed is $7.5 billion out of balance. To pay for that budget would require our income tax to increase to 5.5%, a massive income tax hike to pay for this unbalanced budget. The Democrats know that the people of Illinois, the small business owners, the job creators of Illinois don't want a massive tax hike. So they're not being honest. They're not talking about the tax hike. They just want to appropriate the spending, let our unpaid bills pile up, and then, after the general election in November, put in the massive income tax hike. That is their intent. President Cullerton was pretty candid about it, that they don't want to take any reform votes now, don't want to take any difficult votes now, wait until after the general election. That is wrong. We have tried in good faith to work with the Democrats for the past year through our working groups on a bipartisan basis to come up with reforms so we can get a truly balanced budget, grow our economy, and protect our taxpayers. We were making significant progress in recent months, significant progress. Members of both political parties in private were negotiating in good faith to come up with compromises on spending levels, on new revenues, and on reforms to grow our economy and protect our taxpayers. Speaker Madigan became concerned in recent weeks that too much progress was being made. He was not ready to embrace reform, inserted himself in the process, slow-walked the budget groups, the working groups, and then President Cullerton on Friday gave us the word that the working groups could continue to function. That would be fine, and they'll continue to talk, but really no votes on these issues were going to be taken until after the general election. That was his word to us on Friday. At this point, it is essential that we give stability and confidence to our teachers in Illinois, to our school children in Illinois, and to the recipients of government services, our university system, our healthcare system, our correction system, our public safety system. We have got to have stability. These services must be continued to be provided. They cannot be held hostage for this unbalanced budget that will force a massive tax hike on the people of Illinois next winter. We can't hold our schools hostage for this massive tax hike. We can't hold our government services hostage for this massive tax hike. And President Cullerton was candid on Friday that they've been holding up operations funding to put pressure on our administration. They want pressure in our correction system. They want pressure in our healthcare system. They want pressure on our university system. That is wrong. It's not fair. We can't allow it. That's the reason we have introduced two bills. One, to fully fund our K-12 school system and our early childhood education system now, right now, with more money, 100% of the foundation level, K-12, as well as a hold harmless $105 million, so no school district will get less money under the current funding formula that the Democrats put in place in 2003. So Chicago will not get less money. No school district will get less money under the current funding formula that the Democrats put in 2003. And our schools can open on time, and we can give them the confidence and dependability they need, stability that the teachers deserve in Illinois, the school system, the parents, and the students deserve. We've also sponsored a bill today, this morning, to make sure that essential government services, our university system, our healthcare system, our corrections system, our government operations that our citizens depend on can continue to function through January, which is the time frame that President Cullerton indicated would be the time frame that they'd be willing to negotiate a truly balanced budget and a broad-based compromise. So we are calling on the General Assembly, don't wait. Don't hold our schools hostage. Don't hold our government operations hostage. Don't hold the people of Illinois hostage. Pass these two bills now to bring stability to our state while we continue to negotiate in good faith on reforms through the working groups, and we get through this crisis. Hopefully we can come to a broad compromise before the general elections. We're going to try to do that. We will try every day, 7 days a week. But President Cullerton has indicated that really the time will ultimately come down to next winter after the election. So we've got to take action now to get us through to next winter. Here's the time. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to Leader Radonio to give her comments, as well as Leader Durkin. Thanks very much.
Well, thank you. I think the governor has laid out the case for passing the two bills that we've introduced, the school funding bill and the bill that will allow the government to continue to operate and give stability and predictability to our schools in particular. A couple of points I want to emphasize. The bills that have been introduced are something we can afford. They are paid for. They are not pie in the sky. And secondly, both of those bills can be passed tonight before midnight. It is true we've introduced new bills, but there are vehicles in position in both chambers that can get the job done by midnight. We've seen in hundreds of examples where there's a will, there's a way. So if the Democrats want to pass these things rather than continue the brinksmanship, it is something that in fact can be done and needs to be done. What I fear is that the Democrats are looking at Christmas in July, using the brinksmanship and the school children of Illinois in order to up the ante. Oh, fine, we'll give you a little bit of money to keep the prisons open, but we need a lot more in this area, a lot more in that area that we can't afford. Again, going back to the fact what we've introduced is affordable. It doesn't set aside the need for further reform and an ultimately balanced budget. We'll continue along those lines. But if there's a sincere bone in the bodies of any rank-and-file Democrat, they will pressure their leaders to get this job done and get it done tonight. Leader Durkin?
Sure. Thank you. We have approximately 6 hours left before we conclude this legislative session. We have time and time again over the past month worked with the Democrats, offered the Democrats that we will work with you in a bipartisan manner to accomplish a comprehensive balanced budget. Balanced. However, we know that over the last 24 hours that the Democrats have no other intention other than to pass their $7 billion unbalanced budget. That is reckless, it's irresponsible, it's a slap in the face to every Illinoisan, as it was last year. Now, with the bills that we've introduced today, there's 6 hours to get a stopgap funding mechanism done. As both the governor and also Leader Radonio have stated, it is fully funded. It's not based on IOU or script. This money will actually get to the people that are intended to benefit from this program: schools, higher ed, social service agencies, Department of Corrections. And more importantly, as the Democrats have been using all year an excuse that we are not going to negotiate on a budget because of the turnaround agenda items attached to it. There are no turnaround agenda items attached to the legislation that has been introduced by myself and also by Senator Radonio. They no longer have that excuse. We have time to smooth this out, reconcile the bills with the issues that the Democrats have with it, and pass these out of the chambers by the end of the night. Now, we've seen this done time and time again, and we can actually work past midnight. I think it was done with the White Sox bill. It was actually 12:03, but it was 11:59. It was on the Journal. So the bottom line is, this legislature needs to stay in session. We should not gavel out anytime soon. We need to have the rank and file members of the Democrat caucus in the House and Senate demand that their leadership take these bills to committee, work with us, negotiate in these final hours to bring certainty to all Illinoisans while we can negotiate a larger, comprehensive, balanced budget.
Thank you, Leader Durkin. Thank you, Leader Radonio. We'll open it up to questions.
Does the stopgap come off the table today?
We're focused on getting it passed today. There are bills, there are vehicles introduced in both chambers to allow this to get passed. We have seen the majority Democrats introduced 500-page bills and vote on them within an hour or two. These issues, these stopgap issues, have all been debated, all been discussed for weeks and weeks. There's nothing new here. We could quickly get this done to bring certainty and stability to our government operations and to our teachers in our school system.
But can you answer that question? I mean, what if it doesn't happen tonight?
We're focused on getting it done today.
And after that?
Governor Edgar was interviewed by NPR Illinois, and he's looking at the entire year. He said what's been holding us up is the turnaround agenda, which Governor Rauner hasn't asserted. This is unique to have these other issues as part of the budget process. He's still saying that you're putting those non-budget issues. He agrees with the Democrats that are non-budget issues on the table is what's holding this whole thing up.
Again, I don't want to revisit all the decisions made in the past that have created this problem. What I will say is that economic growth is the key to balanced budgets. Growing our economy is essential to having balanced budgets. If we don't grow our economy, we will never have truly balanced budgets. Our debt is too big. Our unfunded pensions are too big. Our property taxes are too high. We need reforms to grow the economy. And if we had just merely grown the great state of Illinois at the nation's average, and we should be growing way above the nation's average, but if we have been growing at the nation's average over the last 15 years, we would not have a deficit today. We would not need any tax hikes. We would have not any deficit because of economic growth. We would not have needed the 2011 tax hike. We would not have any unpaid bills. And we would have well over $10 billion more in the state treasury to fund our schools and our human services. Economic growth is the key, and our entire turnaround agenda is focused on value for taxpayers and, most importantly, economic growth, creating more jobs, higher incomes, more competitiveness for the Illinois economy so we can all prosper and have a higher quality of life for the people of Illinois. That's what we've got to have. It's clear we've been going in the wrong direction for too many years, and our agenda is about turning that around, and that will lead to balanced budgets in the long run. Yeah, Mary.
Why do folks perceive that as hurting the little guy? They don't, I don't know if you guys laid out the case, but that's the inference they make.
That's the quick response. The special interest groups that donate to Speaker Madigan's organization don't want to change. The reality is family incomes on average have declined over the last 17 years. We are going in the wrong direction, and struggling families are hurting. Their property taxes are too high. They don't have enough job opportunities. The key to rising family incomes is a healthy, competitive economy, creating multiple jobs for people to choose from. That's what raises family incomes. And some have said, well, it hurts the middle class, or it's a race to the bottom to have these types of reforms. I hear that very frequently. The tragedy is, look at the other states that have much more pro-growth pro-turnaround agenda items in their policy. Texas, Tennessee, Indiana. They are growing faster than us. And factory workers in Texas, which many people say, well, that's an anti-worker state, that's a pro-business state. Factory workers in Texas make more money than factory workers in Illinois. Factory workers in Indiana, when you adjust for the cost of living, make more than here in Illinois. We've got to change, and economic growth raises everybody's incomes. The special interest groups that like the status quo, they're spinning things that are just not true.
Thank you. You told everyone behind you to vote no on the K-12 bill last year, and then you went ahead and signed it. And now this year, everyone's getting ready, maybe to open the schools on time. Isn't the message 2 years in a row? If Democrats wait out the governor will blink on K-12 and open the schools on time, no matter what.
The reason we're calling for school bill to be separate is so the Democrats can't hold our schools hostage. We knew they were going to try it last year. That's the reason I went ahead and signed that piece of the budget and separated it out. That's the reason we've called for the school bill to be sent to us clean. And we can see, obviously, the Democrats want to hold our schools hostage. They want to hold our teachers hostage because this year they made sure the school bill was integrated inside the out-of-balance budget, the unaffordable, unconstitutional budget. They integrated it because they want to hold our schools hostage. That's not fair. It's not right. It's not fair to our kids. It's not fair to our teachers. We've got to separate education out. We can all debate reforms. We can all debate the unfunded, out-of-balance budget, but we must put more money in our schools to protect our teachers and our students. This bill to protect our schools should pass clean and separately now, right today. There's no reason to delay. Our schools need predictability and stability. Same thing for our university system. Same thing for our healthcare system. Same thing for our correction system. They deserve stability. They should not be held hostage this summer while the rest of the negotiations go on. President Culleton made it clear the reform negotiations and the true balanced budget negotiations and votes shouldn't happen until after the election. If that's true, we need to take action now to have stability through January, and that's what our bills do.
Your administration is warned the state could suffer rating down.
We'll discuss the issues around the sessions in the coming days. The Speaker has said that he would like his chamber to come into session every Wednesday going forward. I'm here in Springfield virtually every day, and we will accommodate whatever works for this schedule. We've got to keep the negotiations going, and we've got to find broad compromises, and the more we work, the more we talk, I think the better.
Governor, your administration is warned that if this impasse continues, and if there's an unbalanced budget, that the state could suffer downgrades in its bond rating. If that happens, will the state continue to sell bonds?
I don't want to speculate about bond ratings. I don't work for bond rating agencies. I work for the people of Illinois. We are going to get balanced budgets for our state. We're going to get a strong economy for our state. We're going to get the best schools in America for our state. We're going to protect our property taxpayers who are being crushed by too high property taxes. We're going to bring them down over time. And we're going to end the corruption and conflicts of interest in our government by getting term limits on the elected officials. These are issues we will never give up on, and it's what's necessary for the people to have a better life. And bond ratings will follow good results.
What about borrowing?
Governor, you mentioned that this is a political fight and it's to do with a larger Democratic side. But isn't it larger than that? Isn't this about ensuring that you do not have the successive terms at all and Democrats keep their control?
I can't speculate about the Democrats' motivations. The Democratic Party has been in control of our spending in our state, as I've said, for decades. You can see where it's gotten us. Debt, deficits, unemployment, brutally high taxes, massive corruption. We have to change direction. The people of Illinois deserve so much better. We've got the best people in America. Our people in Illinois deserve so much better.
Democrats, you started the speech saying Democrats fail, the Democrats fail. It's been 11 months. Do you take any responsibility for the fact that we haven't had a budget? Do you take responsibility for any part of this failure? You are one now.
Absolutely. You know what? I will always veto dramatically out-of-balance budgets. We have to stop doing this. The Democrats have spent our state into the toilet for 30 years. We're like a banana republic. We can't manage our money, and employers don't have any confidence in us. They won't come here if we can't get our act together and balance our budgets. I will always veto unbalanced budgets. I will not sign one, and I will not sign a tax increase unless we have pro-growth, pro-investment reforms, and we have property tax protection for our homeowners and our small business owners. I've been clear about that.
Last question. Governor, social service agencies say this stopgap doesn't do enough, especially those that have been waiting since last July. That they're starting to look through it. It's something that was just dropped, and from what they can gather, it's not going to do anything to really save it.
I don't think that's the case. The agencies that we've talked with would be pleased with this. It has a 2016 fix for appropriations for social service agencies from last year, and it funds essential services, our universities, healthcare, corrections, government operations that the people of Illinois depend on. It gets us till January, after the election, which is what the president has indicated is the time frame that he'd be ready to take some of the votes necessary to get a truly balanced budget. Thanks very much, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Governor.
Thanks very much, everybody. Great time.
Gonna go up with Dan. Okay, we gotta get back.